Hey guys, we're gonna go over finding your sensitivity and just some of the roles on how slow, how fast your sensitivity should be and whatnot like that. So starting off here, sensitivity is obviously a preference. It depends on the player and how fast they can move their mouse. Uh, and it's pretty much individual. You gotta find your own sensitivity and see what works for you. So starting off here, we're gonna find out if you're you know need to be a slower sensitivity or a higher sensitivity, or what's more comfortable for you here. And one of the things I do recommend is buying a big mouse pad, such as the QCK Plus or the QCK Heavy. It's the same size, the only difference there is the thickness, so that you can move around a lot. One of the things you don't want to be doing is re-gripping your mouse a lot like this. So if I was to trace this guy's head here and just stick on his head like this, I don't want to be like, on his head, then re-gripping, 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 re-gripping. That means like you're not holding your mouse right. If you're always doing this, trying to follow someone, you always just want to be a nice smooth like this. So you need to be comfortable moving your mouse around, and whether you're going to be moving your mouse around with your wrist more or your arm more, and just see what's comfortable for you. So right now I'm using 2.0 at 450, which is 2.25 at 400. And what I'd recommend at 400 DPI is to definitely not go below 1.0. There are some operas that use Guardian, I believe, uses 1.3, and maybe Delpan uses like 1.4 or something around there. So you can get away with it opping if pretty much all you do is opt, because you're going for consistency. You're going for just you're always having an op, obviously, so you can get away with it having such a slow sensitivity. So I would not go below this. And for maximum, I'd probably not go below or above 4 for sure. I know that Forest uses 3.6, and it's just really hard to be consistent with such a fast sensitivity. Because, if you're off just a little bit one day, the higher the sensitivity, the more consistent you have to be with that sensitivity. So just test out what's good for you here. It's just really hard for me to be consistent on such a high sensitivity for me. I'm way more comfortable following someone's head on a 2.0, and then at 1.0 I just can't follow his head good enough here. I can from further away, obviously, if I'm opping, it's really easy to trace, extremely easy to trace. It's really nice. But if you're going in with a 1.0 sensitivity and you're going into B or something like this, and you need to check car and then go and check that, it's like that's 2 full swipes for me. So 1.0 is definitely not good if you're going to be entry fragging. So you got to always keep that in mind too, checking angles and whatnot. Obviously, if you have a high sensitivity, you can check angles really well. If you go into bomb sites, you can check, snap, snap, snap. You can do everything crazy. But the thing that's hard about a high sensitivity is, keeping your crosshair locked on someone's head from far away. If you're trying to shoot them, it's harder that way. So there's disadvantages and advantages of sensitivity. And one of the things that you can do is you can place a bot right here. And if you don't know how, I have a video on executing my practice config and dropping a bot in. But you could always do it with like some kind of object on the wall, such as like that one, and you can trace around and just see if you can stick on the object. Go close, go far, see how well you can stick on the object, and you can change your sensitivity. Go from like I was saying 1.0, 1.5, go close up, drop back. The sensitivity is not too bad for me. I like it. And 2 is actually my sensitivity, and if I go up 2.5, a little bit too fast for me. I'm shaking a little bit on his head here. But let me just show you like what you shouldn't be doing here. I have to put a really high sense just because I'm... But people that, can't stick on someone's head, if you're doing like, jiggling around his head like this or something, like always off his head, you probably need to slow down your sensitivity somehow. So you want to be able to just track his head nice and easy. And yeah, just try finding out your sensitivity. Walk around, slow it down. So I would start probably, if you're at 450 DPI, guys, or 400 DPI, I'd probably start with like 2.4 or 2.5. Go with 2.5 sensitivity. out of all the pros, I would say, 2.5 is pretty close to the median, or pretty close to, what everyone uses. I would use 2.25 at 400, so I'm like a tiny bit slower than the average, I guess, but it's not really that much slower. So I'd start with like 2.5, and then just try to lock on someone's head. Do it for a while, a couple of minutes here. Just try snapping to angles. I like doing that too, just to see if you're overshooting or whatnot. You can always deathmatch with it too, but I'll talk a little bit more about that. So maybe just like snapping to angles, even like shooting here, shooting there, snapping back and forth, going back to there. Just see how comfortable you are with this sensitivity. And then you can drop it down, or we can go up by 0.5. You can go up by whatever intervals you want. Down here, flicking up here. Or you can do the technique where I'm showing you. You trace the head, go up close here, see if you can follow it really well, and see how well you can control that sensitivity. A little bit further away here, just doing a lot of strafing. And just see which one you're more comfortable with. Honestly, it's a lot harder for me to lock onto an object and stay locked onto it with a higher sensitivity. So I like the 2.0. And the 2.0 actually gives me a lot of consistency because it's slow enough that I can control my crosshair, but it also gives me a lot of maneuverability. So when I go into a site here or somewhere, I can check corners easily. And what makes me be able to do that is the big mouse pad as well. You need a big surface to be able to turn around. So if I'm up here and I can still do a 180 pretty easily with my mouse here. And one of the things you don't want to do is go into a death match and just see like, what sensitivity you can get the most frags in within like X amount of time or whatnot. Because if you play with a higher sensitivity, you can probably manage more frags in a DM just because you're flicking everywhere, like hit someone here, kill someone there, whatnot. But that's not really realistic, and that's not working on your the consistency factor. I would just focus on hitting the shots that you're trying to aim for in a deathmatch. Don't worry about always doing like 180s and killing the guy behind you or whatnot, because that's not too realistic. So anyone that you're trying to aim for, just see how well you're actually hitting those shots. Don't go for like, crazy like, oh shit, just trying to flick around everywhere. High sensitivity is the best or whatnot. And I would just practice in a server and just see how well you can control it and go into a competitive match and see how well you're actually using your sensitivity in like, actual situations, and see how well you're doing. And you could always rewatch your demos and see if you're overshooting or undershooting. Maybe you're not checking corners well enough, just to see where your handicap is. And usually I can spot someone's handicap pretty easily in their sensitivity by just watching them. And yeah, so like coming into a site here, are you able to check corners, and are you able to lock on an object and actually stay locked on it without being too shaky and like too crazy or whatnot. So I hope this helps you guys find your sensitivity. And yeah, if you have any questions, leave a comment below and I'll get to it. Thanks for watching, guys.